Right.
And you wanted to discuss the issue with regards to does God exist or not?
Yeah, but if there's anything that you want to ask me as well, you can ask me whatever you want to know too.
That's fine. I would like to say that I believe personally, based upon the evidence, it's impossible to be an atheist based upon the laws of logic and those things that are universal, invariant, and abstract in nature. I really believe that we have a discussion of worldviews, and you will have to understand, as any atheist would have to do if they're discussing any length of time at all, that the atheistic view, a worldview, in order to make sense of anything, has to borrow the Christian theistic worldview. He cannot make sense of anything, and that's why I say it's impossible to be an atheist.
Well, I can
it's impossible for God to exist. But go ahead.
I can help you out with that because I vehemently disagree with you. Actually, I would take the almost opposite approach, and I'd say that in order for you to believe in God, what you're actually saying is that it's impossible for God to exist. Because by the same logic that leads you to believe in God, it proves that there is no God. So, but
Well,
I think I think the confusion comes from your definition of what an atheist is. So, what do you believe that an atheist is?
Well, an atheist is someone that claims that God does not exist.
That's not entirely true.
Well, it is. That you asked me what my viewpoint was, and I gave it to you.
Right,
Now,
right, and I say that's why there's confusion, because your definition of an atheist leads you to a conclusion, but you have the incorrect definition.
Well, a lot of atheists say the absence of the belief in God.
That's more accurate.
Yeah, you can get that from the book "The Case Against God" by I forget his last name. His first name was George, and he wrote a book on that. But the thing about it is, anytime an atheist ever comes to, like you and I are doing right now, a debate, a discussion of viewpoints, automatically, as soon as you come to the debate or willing to do so, you've lost the debate. Because without even realizing what you've done, you had to borrow my worldview to make sense of anything. Because an atheist claims that God is the absence of the belief in God. Therefore, this being that we call God does not exist. And based upon that, I do not believe that God exists. Well, that statement can't be true, because as soon as an atheist says, I do not believe that God exists, or I believe in the absence of the existence of God, he just has forfeited his debate. Because an atheist doesn't believe in anything that's abstract. Abstract is anything that's not empirical. See, an atheist, he claims that, like a computer, this is a Dan Barker, computer is like the human life. As soon as you turn the computer off, life ceases with a human being as well. And that's it. There is no immaterial aspect to a man's being. And that's impossible to say, because from his point of view, the belief aspect of it is something that's, or knowledge is of the mind, and not of the brains, but of the mind. And laws of logic go against you. You could not brush your teeth without believing in God's existence because of the laws of logic. And that would be my premise that I would be leaning on, and I'll stick with that, because in order for you to make any sense at all of anything, boldly standing up for what you believe and teach, you have to borrow my worldview, which is Christian theistic, regards to right and wrong. I mean, I take it that you believe that all murder is evil, don't you?
No.
Do you believe that any kind of killing is wrong?
No.
Do you believe it would be wrong for me to take a gun and blow your head off?
It depends. See, this is the problem.
Let's say arbitrarily, I just come up to you because for no reason at all, I pull a gun out and I shoot you in the head. I don't even know you from anybody. Would that be considered a wrong act?
From my perspective, yes.
Okay, see, as a result of that, you just gave up your premise for atheism because you do believe in right and wrong. You do understand the concepts of God.
Okay, but do you understand that? Do you understand that God has nothing to do with right and wrong? And what by me not believing in God, I can still have a concept of what's right and wrong. The fact that you believe in
absolutely, and Kweli, you do.
So tell me this. You asked me.
You do believe in right and wrong.
You asked me. I don't believe in objectively right and wrong the way that you do. So you asked me, was killing someone wrong? So let me ask you the same question. Do you believe that killing someone is wrong? If I was to walk up to you and blow your head off for no reason, would I be wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
So let me ask you again. Was God wrong when he killed everybody on the planet and flooded the earth? Was that wrong?
When he flooded the earth? No, he wasn't wrong in doing that, and he has his reasons for doing that.
So you just said, but you just said that killing is wrong. So is killing wrong or is killing not wrong?
I didn't say all killing is wrong. I didn't say all killing is murder. I say that all murder is killing, but not all killing is murder. God himself has his reasons for doing what he does.
So you agree with me? You think that killing is sometimes wrong, but depending on the circumstances, it cannot be wrong, just like I do, right?
Well, yeah, I'm saying that you and I, our worldviews are alike in a lot of ways because deep down inside, without you realizing what you're doing, you do believe in God. Now, you can sit there and say, I don't believe that an all-powerful, all-knowing
and deep down inside, no matter what you realize, you don't believe in God. You see, you can make a claim and I can make the opposite claim. See, what you have to do is prove that deep down I actually believe in God. You can say that all day long, but I'm telling you I don't believe in God.
But Kweli, I understand what you're saying, what you're professing. My point is, what you profess and your lifestyle are two different things. I mean, when
you are mistaking the belief in God for living a good, righteous life. There are many people.
No.
The prisons are full of people who believe in God. These are not good people. They are criminals, but they believe in God.
Kweli, everybody believes in God.
No, not me. So clearly, your statement is not true.
You do.
I don't. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Do
you believe in Santa Claus?
I don't believe in that.
Yes, you do.
Character that comes through.
Yes, you do.
Flying through the.
Yes, you do.
The air.
Yes, you do.
That guy.
You do.
Guy.
You do. Deep down, you do.
See?
No matter what you believe, deep down you do believe. See how it feels when I tell you that you believe something that you don't believe. You tell me I believe in God.
I can prove to you, but I can prove to you that you do believe in God.
You can try, but I can prove to you that I don't.
Because in order for you to see, do you believe it? Do you know anything that's not abstract? Let me have to ask you this: the laws of logic. When you take a baseball and you drop it to the ground, will it fall to the ground?
If I'm on Earth,
well, sure it will.
If I'm on Earth, yeah. If I'm on Earth,
is that you believe in the laws of logic. Have you ever tasted it? Ever smelt? Ever seen a law of logic?
No, and that's not required for laws of logic to exist.
And it proves to the whole world here that your atheistic worldview is incorrect. You're wrong as an atheist.
It does not prove that. Explain yourself, sir.
It does prove it.
Explain yourself.
I'm saying this, that you take a baseball and you drop it to the ground, you will say it will fall to the ground.
If I'm on Earth, yes.
China, whether I'm India, or wherever I'm at.
No, not wherever I'm at. Only if I'm close enough to the Earth. If I get far enough away from the Earth, then the Earth's gravity won't cause that baseball to fall.
I'm saying when you're standing on the Earth and you drop a baseball, the laws of logic tell you it's going to hit the ground. But I'm telling you this, have you ever seen a law of logic? Have you ever tasted one? Have you ever smelt one? No, because it is. But you do believe in that.
But let me show you where your flaw in your reason is.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You cannot taste one. You cannot smell one. You cannot see laws of logic, but you believe in those. And my point is, the only way for you to do that is because you have to leave your worldview, which is all empirical. Everything is empirical. What you see is it. You have to feel it, touch it, taste it. All those things are empirical.
No, you are simply wrong. If you would allow me to explain to you why you're wrong, I think you will understand. Because the mistake that you're making is you're mistaking taste and sight and these senses that we have for a demonstration that a thing actually exists. There's a such thing as oxygen. It has no color. It has no taste. I've never tasted oxygen. I've never seen it. But we can demonstrate that it exists by filling up a balloon or by depriving a living life form of air and seeing what happens. So we can know that even though we can't see it, even though we can't taste it, we can measure it and we can see what it does in the universe. So we don't have to use our senses. This is why scientists use instruments and tools like microscopes and telescopes, thermometers, things that extend our senses, because our senses are not as good as these instruments that we use. So for me to believe in gravity, even though I can't taste it, I can demonstrate that it exists by dropping a baseball. So it is not the same as believing in a fairy or a leprechaun or something that has no demonstration. So the fact that I can't taste something doesn't mean that I can't demonstrate that it exists.
You've missed my whole point. I'm not saying that gravity or electricity is visible. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's invisible. What I'm saying is that any working of the mind is abstract. And an atheistic worldview, it doesn't make sense because you cannot make sense of anything that's abstract.
Well, you're simply incorrect in your understanding of the mind. The mind is physical. What you think of the mind as?
I'm not talking about the gray matter in your head.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm telling you that you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay, so what you call the mind, you look at it as a non-physical aspect of the brain. I don't think the mind is that. The mind to me is what the brain does, is what the brain produces, is the emergent property of the brain. It is physical. It is not non-physical. I don't.
Have you ever? But you went back to my point. Is that you say you do not believe in the belief in God? Okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever tasted belief? Have you ever seen believe? Have you ever felt believe?
No, have you ever seen God? Have you ever tasted God?
Again?
Have you ever seen God?
I'm not saying it. God is spirit. I'm not saying he's not.
Have you ever seen the spirit?
No, I've never seen spirit.
All right,
no.
so by your own logic, whatever you're trying to say about me not seeing things, or you not, whatever you're trying to say, it goes for you too. So if I have never seen a brain or a mind, you have never seen a spirit. So you believe in things that you haven't seen. But what I'm telling you is, I can demonstrate what I believe in.
Go ahead and demonstrate it.
Okay, what would you like for me to demonstrate?
What you assert.
That the brain is physical?
Well, I know the brain is physical, but the mind is something inside man that is separate and apart from the gray matter.
Okay.
The mind is thinking.
Now, how do you demonstrate that?
Well, I'm thinking right now about a restaurant I like. I like to eat there, all that stuff. But my point
and what are you using to think about that?
Oh, I'm using the gray matter in my skull, but the point is that the mind itself is the immaterial aspect of the physical gray matter in my brain.
So do you have any example of a mind existing without a brain?
You would have to sit there and say that it would have to be in the immaterial world.
Is there
which
any
would be
example?
the spirit
Is
world.
there any example of a mind existing without a brain?
The mind continually exists. If I go to the Bible and I show you individuals that have died and then they come back and communicate, I would sit there and say they didn't have a brain like they had on Earth. It's different.
So you understand that
brain is a
the
physical
Bible
brain
is
matter.
you understand that the Bible is fiction, right?
Well, I don't want to leave this issue before we go to the Bible. I want to stick with this because this is the root problem to all atheists, is that you do not believe in an immaterial aspect of man, do you?
I don't believe anything. I don't have a reason to think that there is an immaterial
But you do
aspect to
believe
man.
in things. That's my whole point. You do believe in things.
But
You
I
believe
don't,
this is
though.
worth discussing.
But I don't though.
Well, but Kweli, you cannot function as a human being
But I'm
without
functioning.
believing things.
But I'm functioning right now, and I'm not believing anything.
I know you are. The only way you're doing that is because you're borrowing my worldview, which is Christian theistic, to make sense of anything. This is why I say that it's impossible to be an atheist, because he cannot function without some kind of understanding of
Okay.
thinking.
All right. It's impossible to be a Christian because to be a Christian, you have to borrow the atheistic worldview. So you're not really a Christian. It's impossible for you to be a Christian. You might think that you're a Christian, but you're really not. You're really an atheist because it's impossible for anybody to be a Christian.
Well, that's not. You're missing my. The
I'm
whole
just
thing is all
restating
over
what you stated to me. Except I'm flipping
Yeah,
it
I
on
know,
you.
I know that. I'm trying to maybe say it a different way so you can get it.
I understand what you're saying. I just vehemently disagree with you.
Well, you can disagree all you want to, and that's fine. I'm just saying that in order for you to be able to function in anything, you have to have thinking
Okay.
in your.
Let me ask
in
you
the
this.
gray matter, which is immaterial.
Let me
You don't believe in anything that's immaterial.
let's take this to its logical conclusion. If let's assume that you're right, okay? It's impossible to believe to be an atheist. We're going to say that you're right. If that's the case, that means that everybody before the Bible was written, before God came down from heaven, all those people that existed, all those life forms that existed before then, they somehow knew about God. They weren't atheists, right? According to you.
I wasn't around at that time. I don't know what.
But
what
it
they
doesn't
were
matter.
going through.
We're talking about laws of logic. Like you said it's impossible for someone to not believe in the God. You have to believe in the God in order to make sense of anything. So before God revealed
No,
himself,
I say this. I say that in order for you to be able to believe and function as a human being, you have to borrow my worldview, whether you believe it or not. I'm saying deep down inside, you probably, in your mind, think there is no God. And you process that thing, and this is what you're going by and functioning by. However, in order for you to even function in this world, you have to go to the abstract world to function in this empirical world.
and what makes you think that?
And
Why do you
doing
believe that?
you have to borrow my worldview to make sense of anything. I mean, do you brush your teeth with toothpaste?
Sure I do.
Okay. When you squeeze the tube, what do you expect to come out?
Toothpaste. What does this
There
I'm
you
not
go.
saying what does that have to do
And
with the belief in God?
It has everything to do with it. My point is that you believe that when you squeeze the toothpaste, paste is going to come
No,
out.
I know that when I squeeze the toothpaste, it's likely for toothpaste to come out. It's not a belief. It's based on evidence of
Okay.
every other time that I've squeezed the
Kweli.
tube.
Kweli, let me ask you this. You said you know.
Yes.
Have you ever tasted no, smelt no, seen no?
No, have you ever tasted
done
God or seen God or tasted God?
I'm not in a physical way, no.
Have you ever tasted
And
the
my
Spirit?
point- No.
Have
I
you ever
not, no.
tasted logic?
No.
So why do you
logic
keep
or
asking me
empirical
about this?
are
This
not
what have I
empirical.
tasted? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The fact that I can taste some things and can't taste other things has nothing to do with whether or not those things that I cannot taste actually exist. You keep asking me, have I tasted it, as if that has anything to do with anything. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It's proving, Kweli, that you're wrong as an atheist, because an atheist believes in nothing abstract. That's what he claims. There's nothing abstract. All is empirical. And is that correct or incorrect?
For the sake of argument, I'll say it's correct.
There you go. And so you can't even say it correct without borrowing my worldview.
Why not?
Because you have to determine what is right and wrong.
No, I don't.
As an atheist, yes, you do.
No, I don't.
As an atheist, listen, as an atheist, you can't determine what is right and wrong without an almighty God laying the groundwork for you to be able to make that statement.
No, so you telling me, so hold on. What is the definition of wrong to you?
Wrong is anything contrary to God's will.
So if God says it's his will for you to rape little girls, raping little girls is not wrong.
He would never say that.
No. Are you God? Are you God?
But I know who he is.
Are you
I
God?
know who he is.
Have you met God?
I am not God.
Have you
I
met
am
him?
not God.
Have you met him?
I've met him in the sense of salvation, yes.
Do you have him in your back pocket and you can pull him out and ask him to clarify this for you? Because I just asked you what is wrong. You said anything that goes against God's will. Then I said if God was to say that raping little girls was right, would that mean that it's right? And you said, well, God wouldn't do that. And I'm asking you, how would you know what God would do? Because when I read the Bible, it definitely orders the Midianites, orders people to kill the Midianites and save the girls as spoils of war.
What's wrong with that? I mean, back then they were able to do that.
So you don't think it's anything wrong with pillaging a village and saving the virgins as spoils of war and raping them? Because God told you to do so?
Yeah, I know where you're getting that from.
I'm getting it from the Bible.
Well, I know, but you're getting that from I can't think of his last name now. His first name is George.
No, I'm not getting it from some George guy. I'm getting that from the Bible that I read, the same Bible that you read.
You are, but that argument comes from him.
That argument comes from me. Okay.
Have you ever read the book The Case Against God?
No.
Okay.
You know what? I read a lot of books. I probably have read it. I just say that because I'm not the argument that I'm making to you is not something that I got from somewhere. This is a logical argument that when you read the Bible, any sensible person will ask this question: if God is so good, why is he ordering people to do bad things? And if you tell me it's bad to rape girls, but God is ordering people to rape girls, then that means God is bad. But you say God is good.
Show me in the Bible where it says God ordered them to be raped.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up. One second.
Are you going to edit this YouTube thing?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to edit it for your benefit?
No, I'm going to edit it for timing and practical purposes. Everything that you said is going to be heard.
Are you married, Kweli?
No, sir.
You have kids?
No, sir.
How old are you?
29.
29. And when did you say you became an atheist?
About 2.5 years ago. I just turned 27.
And what caused that to be? I'd like to hear your testimony.
All right. You want the short version or the long version?
It doesn't matter. I'm interested in you. However you feel comfortable.
All right. I'm answering your question, but I'm trying to find this passage right quick before I lose it, because I can't remember which verse. Which scripture it is.
Yeah,
I think it's in Numbers 25, but I'm trying to make sure that that's the right one.
What page is that on? Do you know?
No, I don't.
I'm just teasing. Numbers 25.
Numbers 25 and 31 verses
Numbers,
verses
Numbers
17.
25:31.
Numbers 31 verse 17 to 18.
Numbers 31. All right. 17 and 18. And it came to pass unto them, he said, to build the sheep is ready before the children of Israel until they have brought them goings and dwell in their tents. And I will not return unto our houses, the children of Israel.
That's Numbers 31. Did I say Numbers 31 or 25?
Numbers 31. Hang on.
Numbers 31 verse 17.
Alright. 31:17. Okay. Hang on. Let me turn the page again. Okay. And Moses, Elijah, the priest, Moses, the wrath, 10 counsel of the children through the counsel of Balaam. These caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespasses against the Lord in matters of, okay? Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and every woman that hath known man by the lying with him. But the women children that have not known man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves.
Yeah, so it's telling them to kill everybody except the virgins. Take the virgins for yourselves. That's God giving the orders to these men. So you telling me that that's a good thing.
Where's the word rape?
He says, keep the virgins for yourselves. What does that mean to you?
Right, it means that they're to take them out of what they're in, and that's all it says. It doesn't say what to do with them.
It says kill their parents and keep them for themselves. So we can take the rape word out of it if that's what you have a problem with.
Well, it doesn't. I'm just saying. I asked you for the authority. You said they raped them.
Yeah, it says keep them for yourselves. It says keep them for themselves. And as a sensible human being, I would think that you would understand that that means rape. But I understand that as a Christian, I understand that as a Christian, your brain is clouded by your belief system. So you might not want to admit that your God is ordering rape. So you have a cognitive dissonance that's blocking you from saying that. So I'm okay with that.
I would believe the word rape if it appeared in the text. It doesn't say that in the text.
It says keep them for themselves. Okay, so forget about the word rape. I understand that your Christian worldview is stopping you from understanding that that's what rape is, but we can forget about that for the sake of this argument, because it's still proving my point that God is telling these people to go and kill every man and woman and save the virgins for yourself. And you telling me that that's a good thing.
It doesn't say what they were to do with them.
It doesn't matter what they did with them. They killed their parents and they saved the virgins. It don't matter if they took them and they put them in college and gave them grapes and rubbed their feet for the rest of their life. They killed their parents and they kidnapped them. And you're telling me that that's a good thing.
That it is, because God himself orders those individuals that have violated his law.
Yeah, so anything that God says to you is good, even if God tells you to go and kill a whole village of people and take their daughters. And I'm telling you that in my worldview, that's bad no matter who tells you to do it. Even if a God tells you to go kill somebody, you don't just do it just because somebody told you to, because that is bad. So in your worldview, bad is whatever God says is bad. In my worldview, bad is that which harms people. Okay? You see the difference?
That harms people. Okay? Define how you come to grips with your worldview that bad is bad.
Okay.
How do you know that?
I know this because there is a certain way to live that benefits your survival. Now, when we talk about good and bad, survival. So when you choose a goal, if the goal is survival, then we can say what's objectively good or bad. But without the goal, then anything can be construed as good or bad, depending on who's experiencing it. So if the goal is survival, I'm not finished. If the goal is survival and things are happening that don't benefit your survival, we classify those things as bad or harmful. If those things do benefit our survival, we classify those things as good or helpful. That's my worldview on what good or bad is.
Kweli,
it has nothing to do with what somebody said.
Well, Kweli, what's the standard for determining good and bad?
Does it contribute to my survival or does it hinder my survival? If it hinders my survival, it's bad. If it contributes to my survival, it's good.
So self-preservation is the ultimate authority?
There is no ultimate authority. Why do you want there to be an ultimate authority? Why do you want there to be
I'm
some
just
mob
saying,
boss in the sky?
don't you go by an ultimate authority yourself?
No.
What authority do you go by?
There is no authority. Why do I need an authority? Why do you value having an authority?
In order for you to be able to function, you have to determine what's right and wrong. How are you determining that?
I just told you, but if by caring about my survival, since I care about my survival, I use that as my goal, and anything that hinders that goal goes into the bad category. Anything that contributes to that goal goes into the good category. I don't need an authority to tell me what. See. This is the problem with Christianity, and not just Christianity, but all religion. You need somebody to tell you, hey, be good, like a little kid. Hey, behave. I don't need somebody to tell me to do that. I know how to behave on my own. I know not to go out in the street and punch people, because if I do that, it's more likely that somebody might punch me back. And since I don't want to get punched, it might behoove me to not go around punching people. I don't need somebody to tell me, hey, don't go around punching people. Somebody who is a psychopath needs an authority to tell them don't punch people or else. I'm not a psychopath, so I don't need an authority.
Well, how are you going? Well, my point is, though, how are you going to determine right and wrong? If someone decides that it's right and you say it's wrong, what's the ultimate authority to determine the situation?
The ultimate authority is, does it contribute to your goal or does it not contribute to your goal? Now, if me and the other person involved both have the same goal, then we can determine, hey, this is either right or wrong. But if we don't have the same goal, then we might not ever agree on what's right or wrong, because there is no authority in the sky telling us what's right or wrong. Now, let me ask you a question. When a lion kills a gazelle, is that right or wrong?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's either or.
Okay, so it's not a objective authority saying it's wrong to kill, right?
Well, I would say under circumstances for survival in the system that we're in, the lion has that right to be able to kill.
So it's not wrong for a lion to do it because it contributes to the lion's survival.
Well, I would say it's the.
It would be wrong. It would be
God.
wrong if the lion didn't kill the gazelle, because the lion would not be contributing to its own survival.
But what if the lion decided it wasn't right to do the gazelle? Would that be okay?
Then the lion would cease to exist. It would die from starvation.
Would it be right or wrong?
It would be wrong as a lion because it would be dead.
Right, but my point is, though, can't the lion make that decision?
Sure, but the lion
Okay.
it chooses every
If the
time
lion
to
makes
eat
that
the gazelle.
decision, but my point is, if the lion makes the decision not to eat the gazelle because it's evil, he thinks.
No.
How can you sit there and,
Not because it's evil, because he doesn't want to survive. That's what I'm telling you. Is you got this idea that there's this objective good and bad, and I don't.
No, listen. What I'm saying is, if the lion decides not to kill the gazelle because he believes it's wrong, why do you have a right to say it's okay to eat the gazelle?
First of all, I don't think lions make decisions based off of is it right or wrong. They're making
It doesn't
decisions.
matter. I'm giving a hypothetical situation like you did. If I'm telling you, what is it in that lion for you to sit there and say he's wrong if he decides not to eat the gazelle because, according to him,
What it is,
he believes it's wrong.
but he doesn't. This is what I'm telling you. Even in this hypothetical situation, to answer your question,
Well,
the thing
you
that
understand what I'm saying. See?
I understand
And
the
now you're
thing
back
that
into
I understand what
war.
you're saying, but I just disagree with the analogy. But to answer your question, the thing that tells me that the lion is wrong is the fact that not eating the gazelle is detrimental to the lion's survival.
What if he doesn't see it that way?
Well, then it's not wrong for him, but it's wrong
There you
for
go.
his survival as a lion. So like I said before, if your goal is your survival and you care about that, then we can agree on what's right or wrong. But if that's not your goal, then we're not going to agree on what's right or wrong. So if it's not the lion's goal to survive, then he's not going to agree with me on what's right or wrong. But if it is his goal to survive, then he's going to agree with me on what's right or wrong, because that's what I'm basing it on: survival and things that are beneficial or not beneficial for survival of said item that we're talking about. In my case, I'm talking
But
about
you've opened
humans.
a whole floodgate. You've opened a terrible floodgate of determining what is right and wrong is strictly up to each individual.
Yes.
And if you have that situation and remove God from the situation, then you have no right to impose your right or wrong will upon anything.
Correct. And that's a good thing. So that means that nobody will come around and tell me that this is their land and God bequeathed it to them and I have to give it to them because God said so. But that's what your belief system produces. It produces people going around saying this is right and wrong because God said so, even though God didn't say it. You got people telling you. So then people like
Well,
you,
I understand. I know what you're saying.
people like you will call me and tell me that it's okay to rape little girls because God said so. And that's the problem that I have with your religion.
But you've yet to prove that word rape.
I don't have to prove that word rape, man. This is going to be put out on YouTube, and you can just look at the comments, and everybody's going to tell you that that's what they're talking about.
You made the assertion that the word rape was in there, and I'm telling you, I didn't see it.
First of all, I didn't make the assertion that the word rape was in there. I said that God ordered. I said that God ordered people to rape. I didn't say the word rape was in there. I said He ordered them to rape.
Well,
so if I tell you,
saying that He ordered them to rape them, I would say you read it somewhere. Where did you read that
at? We just read it in Numbers 31, but you have a cognitive block that's stopping you from understanding that means rape. But I guarantee you, if that was in any other book besides the Bible, you would say, yeah, that's rape. Because for some reason, when Christians read the Bible, they think they already go into it thinking that it's a good book. So when they see something bad, they try to rationalize it. Oh, this got to be good some way. But no, it's not good. It's bad. It says, now therefore kill every male among the little ones. That means boys and men. Kill every woman that has known man. That means every woman that has had sex. But the women, children, the little girls that have not had sex, keep them alive for yourself. Now, you could say that that's not rape, but 9 times out of 10, if we go take a survey from people, I guarantee you most people are going to say, yeah, that's ordering rape. Now, you're going to have to reconcile that with yourself. You're going to have to reconcile that with yourself as a grown man to sit there and read that and say that that's not talking about rape. And the only reason you're saying that is because you know that supposedly your God said that. If anybody else said that, you wouldn't have no problem saying that that's ordering rape.
Well, I'm just saying that if I don't read it there, I can't arbitrarily just say it's there. And that's what you're doing.
No, I'm not.
You're adding to the text and reading stuff in it that's not even there.
I just read it almost word for word, man. I'm not adding nothing to it. I told you even we could take the word rape out of it. You want to keep bringing the word rape back. I said we could get rid of that word. He told them to keep them for himself. That's bad enough. We don't need the word rape. We don't need the word rape.
Well, according to you, I could read anything in the text. I can make it say whatever I want to.
Well, you can, but that's not my problem. That's your religion.
There you go. I'm just saying that if that's the case, then my goodness, we can make God out to be anything we want to, according to our understanding. And
So you telling me that God is not ordering those people to rape those little girls? So what does that mean?
All I could say is that they took them into themselves. And that's whatever happened after that. I don't know.
What do you think happened? What do you think? What do you think they did? What do you think they did?
Did they hang them? Did they bury them alive? Did they, like you said, rape them? Did they cut their toes off? I have no idea. All I'm saying is God, for some reason, chose, in His all wisdom, to take these girls and for themselves, and whatever that is, I don't know. I can't go beyond the Scriptures. If you do that, then a heresy always begins when you go beyond Scripture. I can't do that.
But you still telling me that that's not God ordering the bad thing.
I'm not saying that God didn't order the killing of the men and the boys, and then take the girls unto themselves. God did do that, absolutely. But as far as what happened to the girls after that, I can't say. Kweli, I have no idea what happened after that.
All right. Well, we don't have to say that, and I actually respect that, that you're not adding on to the Bible. But even if we don't have to go that far. Is God telling them to do something bad? Is what I'm asking you.
I would say that it would be like, I wouldn't say that it was bad or wrong. I would say that it has a sense against understanding of why he did what he did. I don't understand in his all knowledge why he does and says certain things in the Bible. I have to leave it up and say, and plead my ignorance and say, I don't know. So, I have no idea why he would order this or order that. I mean,
do you understand that? Do you understand how convenient that is for those who want to control you? For you to have that type of mindset, for you to say, "I don't understand why, but if God said it, it must be good." And then anything they tell you, as long as they convince you that God said it, you'll do it, and you won't even understand why you're doing it.
I know.
That's the same. That's the same type of thinking that leads people to fly planes into twin towers and stuff like that, because they think that they're doing the right thing.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And I agree with you on that. I really do. I see what you're saying and all that. I'm just saying that I have to sit there and leave it the way it is and judge it according to, hey, based upon the knowledge that I have to sit there and say God had his reasons for doing what he did. And have to leave it at that. Now, if I was influenced by anybody else, I would be influenced by what you're saying, that he ordered them to be raped. And I'm telling you, somehow you got that in your mind, and I don't know how you got that.
I don't know how you don't get it, but I mean, I understand how you don't get it, because when you believe in stuff like that, it clouds your mind. I used to be a believer, so I know it clouds your mind. But hopefully, through the course of this conversation, we can get you to dim that cloud a little bit, and you be able to see that this book orders rape, it orders slavery. So like, do you agree with slavery? You think that's good or bad?
I think this. I think there are certain situations where that term can be used, and by clouding it with man stealing and ordering someone around against their will is definitely wrong.
I'm talking about slavery in the Bible.
But as far, I believe that there were situations like Philemon, that there were situations where individuals, by their own will, would go under the leadership of someone else as a slave.
No. I'm talking about slavery as it's depicted in the Bible.
Show me the slavery in the Bible that you're talking about.
Sure. Exodus 21. Where it orders you to buy the slaves from the heathens around you, and it gives you a loophole where you can make them be your slave forever, and if they have children, the children become your slaves, and you can sell them as property. Do you agree with that form of slavery?
No, I'm under the New Testament. I don't.
So you don't follow anything in the Old Testament?
Well, I would sit there and say that based upon that situation and condition that Israel was under, they were the chosen race by God, and in order for God to keep them pure, he asked them not to intermingle with other groups.
So God is a racist.
To do that. Say again?
God is a racist.
I wouldn't say that he's a racist.
You said he got chosen people.
I believe that the Jews are God's chosen people.
So you believe that God is a racist?
I would say that I believe if you're not a prejudice in any way, shape, or form, I don't believe that you can function as a prejudiced person. I believe that God himself has chosen Israel, and why that has happened, I don't know.
So you believe that God is a racist, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that he's a racist.
But you just said that he has chosen people. That means he has a group, he has a race of people that he favors more than everybody else on the planet, right?
His favoritism was leaning toward the Jews by working through the Jews and all that.
So he's a racist. He prefers some races over others.
I would say that he has blessed the Jews in a certain sense more than he has anybody else. The Bible says, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem," and I think that that's what he's done. Now, why he's done that again?
So
I can't say for sure.
you believe in a racist God that orders people to kill people and that orders people to have slaves, and all of that is good.
Well, I would say back then, under that time period, for those reasons, I would say that
This is your Christianity is blocking your thinking again. Now, if it's wrong back then, it's wrong now. If it's right now, it's right then. Then it ain't no time. At what year did it become wrong for somebody to have slaves? If it was wrong now, it was wrong then. You thinking through that Christian lens, man. I need you to think through a rational, grown man, logical lens, not a belief in the fairy tale book lens. If it's wrong then, it's wrong now. If it's right now, it's right then.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are done in the Old Testament that are no longer doing today. Now,
but is it all the same religion or not, brother? Because I don't play these games with the Old Testament and New Testament. Either you believe in the book or you don't. Because guess what's all in the Old Testament? The whole creation story. So if you don't believe in the Old Testament, you don't believe in Adam and Eve. You don't believe in the flood. You don't believe in the creation of the earth. None of that stuff, right? So we can throw all that out because that's all Old Testament, right?
I didn't say I didn't believe in it. I'm just saying that I believe in progressive revelation. I believe that God himself starts out, and as time goes on, he reveals more and more of himself.
So where's God been for the last 2,000 years?
Say again?
Where's these revelations? How come they stopped coming? It seemed like God was doing a whole bunch of revealing way back when they was writing these books, but he not revealing nothing now.
He did. And what he did was he gave us a book, and that book is the Bible, and I believe that it's perfect and infallible. And I believe that it's his love letter to us and guidelines that we're to go by with regards to that. But in order to be able to do that, I have to understand the concept of Genesis to Revelation. I can't just arbitrarily pick verses out and say, see, here's what's going on here. That's a person with a determination to try to prove something that's inaccurate. He has an agenda. The Bible says you must approach it with a believing heart and a humble mind.
Yeah. So why would God want you to approach it with a believing heart and a humble mind?
Because what he wants you to do is he wants you to think as he does.
That convinced you?
Oh, absolutely. Because if I can think the way God does, I'll be able to handle individuals such as yourself, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, anyone that's counter to God's will.
Now, where did you learn that God wants me to think as he does? Where did you read that at?
Say again?
Where did you learn that God wants me to think as he does? Where did you learn that?
In a book called the Bible.
What verse? What scripture?
Well, let me think here.
Because I think you're just making that up. I think you're just making that up.
No, I mean, I don't have the Bible memorized. I'd have to look it up.
That's no problem.
You on that.
That's no problem. But
I could do that. But I could. His thoughts are not my thoughts.
But I asked you, why would God say, come to the Bible with a believing heart? Why would God want you to come to that? Because if I were God and I had the truth, you don't got to come to me with the believing heart. I can prove to you that 2 + 2 is 4. You don't got to believe it or not. I can prove it to you whether you believe it, disbelieve it. Your heart got nothing to do with these facts. So why would God want you to come with a believing heart?
Kweli, is 2 and 2 4 equaling 4? Is that always the truth?
2.0 plus 2.0 is always 4.0. Yes.
Okay. Can it ever change?
No. Not to my knowledge. No.
Okay. It can't change for what reason?
I don't think there is a reason. I think it's just the nature of numbers. It's the way they are.
It's laws of logic, correct?
No. The laws of logic are completely separate from mathematical laws.
Well, I'm just saying that laws of logic teach me that if I do something, or if I have a situation and let's say I stubbed my toe on Tuesday and it hurt, I don't have to wait till Friday and stub it again to know it's going to hurt. It's God has laws of logic that are universal, invariant, and abstract in nature.
And if it's okay for if it's okay for Jews to have slaves 2,000 years ago, it's okay for them to have slaves this year, right?
Well, not necessarily.
I mean, according to your laws of logic.
No, I'm just saying that himself is God's law at the time when He's dealing with people. I'm talking about laws of logic that you say that does not exist. You say it does exist, and yet when I press you on it to sit there and say, well, if that's the case, then you can't believe in anything that's empirical or that's abstract. And you say, yes, I do. That just gave up your premise as an atheist.
Hold on. First of
I
all,
don't know why you can't see that.
First of all, I never said that. Just you thinking of some conversation you had with some other atheist somewhere. I never said that I believe in anything abstract. I said I don't believe in anything. I don't believe that there is an abstract. Everything is physical.
Can you see belief?
Here we go again with that stuff. Do you see God?
Well, God is spirit. I'm asking a question.
Do you see spirit?
And you know where I'm going.
Well,
You have to
belief is
understand,
belief.
Kweli.
I don't know where you're going.
Have you tasted belief? Have you felt belief? You say I don't believe in anything that's abstract, and yet that's a contradicted statement. I don't believe in anything that's abstract. Belief is abstract. And I'm pressing you on it, and it shows that you're wrong as an atheist.
I don't know of anything that is abstract. You want to get down to language, and if I'm using this word or that word, we replace the word belief, because I don't deal with the word belief. I'm using that word because you asked me a question and I'm answering it the way that you asked me.
What do you replace it with? What do you replace it with?
With knowledge. So instead of using believe, you say, do I believe anything that's abstract? It's to answer your question from my worldview.
Okay, knowledge. Have you ever seen knowledge? Have you ever
I've experienced the effects of knowledge. Have you ever seen the spirit?
No, that's something not extended in space.
So what is your point? Knowledge is something not extended in space.
My point is that it proves that you're wrong as an atheist, because you sit there and say I don't believe in anything that's abstract, and yet knowledge is abstract.
But knowledge is not abstract.
How do you see it? How do you taste it? I can see effects of it when it's put into practice.
Exactly.
But I can't see knowledge in and of itself.
I can put a sentence in a book. If it's true, that's knowledge in a book. And you can go get somebody who doesn't know that sentence, read it, and learn it. Now we got knowledge demonstrated.
Before you put it on paper, was it knowledge?
It was knowledge at the point where I learned, where I knew it. It becomes knowledge when you know it.
Okay, let's back up. Stop. You're admitting it was knowledge before you put it on paper.
Sure.
I agree. Is that knowledge visible where you could see it, or is it abstract?
I wouldn't say it's neither or.
No, you have to understand. It can't be either or. It's got to be either it's abstract or it's not abstract.
No, it doesn't.
Empirical or abstract.
It doesn't have to be empirical or abstract.
See, right there, that stop in your thought process is the crux of the whole thing about atheism. It cannot exist. It cannot function without borrowing my worldview. It's impossible. And I just proved it right there.
No, you didn't. What you just proved was that knowledge is an idea that we have that's not physical. That ain't got nothing to do with a God. Atheism only addresses God. It doesn't address all things abstract.
But is it true though what you just said? Knowledge is something that can't be seen. Is that true?
I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me, because it doesn't have anything to do with atheism. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It proves that you're wrong as an atheist.
That's why I asked you what does the atheist mean to you? Because you talking about something, knowledge and all this abstract stuff disproves atheism, but atheism only talks about a God. So if you ain't talking about a God, then you're not disproving atheism. You're disproving solipsism or something else. You're talking about something completely different. Or are things empirical? Are there things that are not abstract?
I'm saying what you profess is not an actual worldview of atheism. It contradicts itself. You are a walking contradiction.
No, sir. You are a walking contradiction.
Yes, because you say there is nothing abstract. I believe there's nothing abstract. And you say knowledge.
First of all, let me correct you, because that's what when we started this conversation, your definition of an atheist is not correct. You think an atheist is someone who doesn't believe in anything abstract. That's not what an atheist is. That's what I'm telling you. You're arguing against a solipsist or something else.
No, he does believe in abstract.
No. It ain't no he. I'm an atheist right here. I'm right here. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you what an atheist is. An atheist is somebody who doesn't hold to God belief. It got nothing to do with everything else, like knowledge and belief, and if that stuff is real or not. All that stuff is separate.
The atheist functions in this world just like I do.
No, he doesn't.
And in order for him to do that, he has to use laws of logic.
No. Now,
which
you
he can't see.
Okay. The Christian functions in this world just as an atheist does. In order for a Christian to function, he has to use the scientific laws as an atheist does, but he just doesn't call it scientific. He calls it God or whatever. But in order for you to determine that God is right or wrong or something, you have to use some moral measure in your own self.
I'm talking about. Well, you use morals.
I'm talking about the same thing you're talking about. I'm flipping it on you.
Are you a moral person?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Are you a person that believes that there is a right and wrong, and you determine what is right and wrong, and you avoid wrong?
Yes.
That's moral.
Okay. Well, yes. Then I'm a moral person, and I'm not that way because of any God.
I'm just saying, you're professing right there in an abstract entity which you say does not exist. How do you deal with abstract entities in a world that's nothing but matter?
Okay, you're talking about concepts that humans produce. So these abstract entities that you talking about, if you removed all life from the earth, would they still be around? Would they still exist?
Kweli, you're getting way off the subject.
I'm not getting off the subject. I'm talking about the same thing.
Kweli, listen, you have to deal with this. How do you deal with abstract entities in a world view which is nothing but matter?
I'm trying to answer your question, but in order to answer your question, I have a clarifying question that I need to ask you first. So in response to your question, everything that you're talking about that's abstract, would those things still exist if there was no life on Earth?
Oh, absolutely. The Earth doesn't determine what is and is not abstract.
So even without humans, there would still be a such thing as a belief and knowledge and stuff like that. All these abstract things that you bring up.
Absolutely. Sure.
Where would they exist? Because see, you talking about these abstract things as if they exist somewhere out in the universe, and I'm telling you, I agree with you that they exist in a superficial sense of like we can use knowledge and belief, but those things exist within our brain. All right, they are not things that are actually out in the universe that you can touch and have a cup of knowledge. No, these are knowledge that exist in our brains. So if you take the human out of the equation, you also take the knowledge and the belief out of the equation and everything abstract that goes with it. So those knowledge and beliefs are emergent properties of our physical manifestations. If you remove our physical manifestation, you also remove those abstract qualities like my beliefs and knowledge that come with my physical presentation, the mind, if you will. All of that comes with the physical.
Tell me what caused you to operate the way you're operating now, where you were, let's say, quote unquote, a Christian. Now you deny that. What caused you to do that?
Yeah, because you asked me that earlier too.
What happened?
All right, so I grew up going to church. And when I was
What
about
kind of church was it, Kweli?
a Baptist church, it's a pretty
Was,
big Baptist church. So
was it independent? Was it King James only? Was it Southern, Northern?
you know what? I couldn't even tell you. As far as I remember, it was King James only, but I was so young that I wasn't even like privy to those things. I didn't know much about that stuff back then.
And did you get saved?
I went through the ritual of getting saved. I wouldn't say I got saved.
Okay, you went through the rituals of getting saved. What does that involve? What was
Professing
that rituals?
professing that Jesus Christ is your Savior, being baptized. I spoke in tongues before, shit like that. Practice communion.
Okay, but speaking in tongues would not be part of the Baptist group. Were you Pentecostal in any way at all?
I've been to a lot of different churches, but the church that I predominantly went to was a Baptist church. So,
Okay.
but that's not where I had the speaking in tongues experience. That came later. But yeah, I went through the processes. If you would have asked me when I was a kid, was I saved? I probably would have said yeah. But no, going back on it, I don't believe anybody's saved. Not you, me, or anybody else, because there's nothing to save us. Saved from what? There is no soul. But anyway, I went through the rituals, is what I'm saying. So I went through
And
the
when you
same.
talk to your preacher about all this,
No,
you just left the church.
yes, because once you gain enough knowledge, you realize that you don't have to talk to the preacher about it because the preacher is in on the scam. The preacher is the con man. So why would I go ask the
Okay,
preacher? That's like going to ask the
so
police. That's like going to ask the police who just set me up and put drugs on me to loosen the handcuffs. He just framed me. Why would he loosen the handcuffs? So I'm not going to go ask the preacher anything. No.
so you came across the material and you started reading and studying it, correct?
No. Are you want me to tell you what happened?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to find out. So how did it all begin in your life?
I'm gonna tell you, but I mean you can't
Go ahead.
assume and start asking me questions with your assumptions.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. Go ahead.
So I grew up a Christian, like I was saying. I started looking for God because I wasn't experiencing the things that people told me that I would experience. If you do these things,
How
God's
old
gonna
were you,
make
Kweli?
your life better, and if you pray, God's gonna answer your prayers and things like that. Just Holy Spirit. Jesus gonna reveal Himself. I wasn't experiencing those things, so I
Yeah.
started.
How old were you, Kweli?
I was about 12, 13 at this point.
Did you go with your parents to church?
At first, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So
I'm just trying to get a background, but go ahead.
yeah, so I started. I wasn't experiencing the things that people told me I was supposed to experience. Well, through from my religion and from Jesus and from God and stuff. So I started trying to experience. I started asking, other people who profess that they were experiencing those things. How does it work for you? What do you do? And they say, well, you have to repent. You have to do this. You have to pray. You have to have an open heart and do this. Okay, you have to live a righteous life. And so I tried all these things for the next 4 or 5 years or so, and it still wasn't working. In fact, my life was getting worse, and I was like, man, this can't be. I'm doing all this stuff right. I'm doing all this stuff right, and my life is getting worse. So
Your life's getting worse, huh?
yeah, so now I'm really suspicious. So I started reading the Bible more, trying to understand it because that's all I had known. And in reading the
You know
Bible,
what, Kweli? You know what, Kweli? You know what I'd like to do?
yeah,
I'd like to cut it off YouTube right now, and what I'd like to do is talk to you one-on-one. Can we do that?
what would be the purpose of that?
Well, I think there's some things we could discuss that might be able to, because this is pretty personal. And, I just think you might feel more comfortable if you weren't on YouTube on these kind of things. Maybe,
I don't.
you.
I don't mind that, man. I think that's what YouTube is about. It's you too. You put out your personal stuff on the tube, so I don't mind, man. It's all good with me. And I don't
Okay, so
mind being wrong or getting my bubble burst or any that stuff that's about. I love to learn. So if I'm wrong, that means I just learned something. So yeah, bring it on. But
so go ahead. So you started a deconversion process, correct?
well, at this point, I hadn't started deconverting yet. I was still searching in Christianity, but I wasn't experiencing what people told me I should be experiencing, and I had been praying, and they told me God will
Did you
reveal
go to
Himself,
them and
and I
tell them
hadn't
that?
revealed Himself. Yes,
I mean, how did they respond to you?
they said, "Oh, well, you're just not doing it right." So anyway, I that's the Christian cop out. Oh, well, you got to pray harder. You got to have an
Terrible.
open heart.
Kweli, that's terrible. Go ahead. I feel for you, man. I really do. Go ahead,
Well,
man.
this is the Christian philosophy that Christianity
It ain't mine.
produced atheists, baby. But it's okay.
It's not mine, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's not true. That's the problem with Christianity. Anybody, anytime you bring up what's wrong with it, they say, "Well, that's them over there. That's not the real Christianity." But anyway, they're gonna tell me that you're not the real Christian. But anyway, I started reading the Bible, and there was some stuff in
Yeah.
there that just didn't make sense to me. You know, stuff that I had learned in school that had contradicted what the Bible was saying. Like the Bible said that the Earth was made before light, and that didn't make sense to me because I know stars come before planets. So light comes from stars. So it just I started becoming suspicious, and I coupled with the fact that I wasn't experiencing what people told me I would experience. I had been praying. I had been living my life righteous. I had even stopped cursing. I was doing everything that I thought was right by God, and my life
So you were
sucked.
trying as hard as you could, weren't you?
Yeah, and my life sucked. And I was like, why does my life suck?
Yeah.
And all these people, and I know these are bad
Yeah.
people. I see them doing bad stuff, but they claim to believe in Jesus. But I see them doing bad stuff, but their life is better than mine. So like, what am I doing wrong over here? So
All right.
maybe
All right.
I'm not understanding something. So I started
So
reading,
you
searching,
saw hypocrisy in Christians, right?
of course, but that's not it. This is just the beginning. So
Okay.
I started researching into Christianity more, and yeah, I found some stuff in the Bible that I just couldn't sit right with, like the Numbers 31, the stuff that didn't sit well with me. If God is good, why is He killing everybody all the time? And why is He ordering the devil to do stuff? If the devil is wrong, why is this good God doing all this bad stuff? And I started reading about the Bible itself. Instead of just reading the Bible, I started reading about how the Bible was created. And when I started reading that, that's when I stopped believing in it. Because when you find out how the Bible was created, you realize that God had nothing to do with it. These are all just people putting these books together, usually for political agendas. So
So
that
how did the Bible become? How did the Bible? You came across some research that showed this, and it turns you against the Bible. How was it created?
So the Bible was created. It's a compilation of different books. It now consists of 66 books in the King James version. The Catholics read a version that has 72 books in it. But there were lots of books that got compiled into the original Canaan. But some of those books, for political reasons, were thrown out, and others were inserted. So the Bible is a compilation of books that were written over thousands of years by different people. Some of them they don't know who wrote them, and they just compiled them together because they fit in some ideology that they wanted to push out to the people. And so when I realized, okay, this book was written this year when this was going on in the world. This book was written in this year when this was going on in the world. And you realize the other belief systems that were going on. So when you see passages in the Bible, such as like referring to God as El or Elohim, and then you look at when those books were written, and you find out that the Canaanites also believed in a separate God that's not Yahweh, and His name just happened to be El. And you see that God, the belief in that God was prevalent when this book was written, and that's probably how come they call God El in that book. But in the same book they call God Yahweh, but in the book that they call him Yahweh, it came hundreds of years later after that same tribe had stopped believing in El. So it's the same group of people over hundreds of years just telling you about what they believe about God. It's not God, because think about it, why would God have two different names? God is God. He gonna be God in the beginning of time and to the end of time. Why are He gonna tell you His name El and tell somebody else His name Yahweh? Why He got nicknames? It don't make no sense. But if man wrote it, it makes perfect sense. So these are the things that I learned. These are not like I read some book and some guy said something and I agreed with him. I use my brain, my logic, researching history, coupled with researching the Bible at the same time, and I concluded that the Bible is not the word of God. And since the Bible is not the word of God, what is? So at this point, I'm about 18 years old, and now I'm pretty sure that the Bible is not the word of God based on my research. So I started researching other religions. I researched Islam, Catholicism, Judaism, and Hinduism, all these religions. And the same way I researched Christianity. And I came to the same conclusion. None of these are the word of God. They can't be, because I'm looking at how they got put together by people, not by gods. So then I started, okay, well, maybe some of these ancient religions had a better idea, because they would have been closer to the source, right? So maybe the older religions are more accurate. So I started researching old religions, and I realized that they look just like the Bible. And I realized, wait a minute, the Bible stole most of these stories from these older religions. They just changed the names around. So the Bible is not only a book that's not true, it's plagiarized from older pre-existing religions. So then I started researching into more non-religious, spiritual type of ideologies, like law of attraction, stuff like that. I started getting into a whole bunch of, I would call spiritual stuff. But throughout the course of my years, I would grow to evolve beyond that type of thinking as well. But it's all the progression. It started with Christianity, and then I researched all the other religions. Then I researched the ancient religions, and I came to the conclusion that none of these religions were worth my time, and they weren't from God. And on top of that, they were pretty harmful to the people that believe in them, because I'm looking at the black community that's got all the churches, and they doing pretty bad for themselves. But if the church was so helpful, we should be doing pretty good for ourselves. But how come we got the most churches in the worst communities? The most churches and the worst crime, the most crime, the most churches and the worst food. Like, they just don't coincide. So yeah, man, I started looking into a lot of different stuff. I had what I call a spiritual journey from about age 18 to about 26. And then when I realized that even that stuff wasn't helping me, like even the spiritual stuff, the law of attraction stuff, none of that stuff was really helping. And I asked myself, you know what? Maybe all this time I've been looking for something that's just not here. I'm looking for God, and maybe it ain't no God. And it's like a light bulb just went off in my head. I said, that would explain all the evil in the world. That would explain why my prayers were not getting answered. That would explain everything if there is no God. And I started looking into atheism, and I started actually listening to what atheists were saying. Instead of listening to what Christians had to say about atheists, I started talking to atheists and seeing what they had to say, and they made a lot of sense. And it wasn't shortly after that I was like, man, I'm an atheist. Say what?
Who are the big atheist teachers that you learned under?
Man, you got Dr. Ben, Dr. Henry Clark. It's so many people, man. Dr. Ben, Dr. Henry Clark, Anthony Browder. I mean, the list goes on and on, man. A lot of people.
Yeah. And you, so atheism to you is God.
No, there is no God.
Be what you follow and what you believe and teach and what you basically worship.
No, I don't worship anything. I don't think that anybody should worship anything. Why would you want to worship something?
Do you worship yourself?
No.
Well, I mean, like, how do you determine what is right and wrong? Aren't you the ultimate authority on determining what's right and wrong?
There is no ultimate authority. There is no ultimate authority.
Then who is to say what is right and wrong? It becomes a personal matter, correct?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
So what I would believe right and wrong, and you would believe right and wrong, if they cross, then who is to sit there and make the decision on is and is not correct?
Nobody. What's wrong with that?
So, in other words, Adolf Hitler could say and do what he wants to do, and how are you to say he's wrong in doing it if he believes he's right?
Well, here's the thing. Adolf Hitler did whatever he wanted to do. It's not whether he can. He did whatever he wanted to do. Was he right or wrong? As I said before, it depends on what his goal is. If his goal is to have a conducive world where everybody is surviving and thriving together, then he was wrong. But if his goal is to eliminate a race of people and build some super race, then maybe he was right. It just depends
But
on what
who are you
his
to
goal
say
was.
he's wrong if he believes he's right?
I'm me.
No matter what goal
See.
he had.
The thing is, in your belief system, you think that there has to be somebody to tell you. You need somebody to tell you, don't put your hand on the stove. I don't need somebody to tell me that. I know that from watching other people get burnt, not to put my hand on the stove. So I know it's wrong to put my hand on the
No,
stove. I don't
know
need somebody to
what you're
tell me.
saying. I understand what you're saying, Kweli. What I'm saying is, with a situation like Adolf Hitler, you're saying as long as it doesn't do harm, it's okay. My point is, he believes in his mind he's not doing harm.
Okay, so
why would he be wrong in killing 6 million Jews if he believed it's not harm?
and this is why you're not understanding it, because to me and you, we would say he's wrong, but in his mind, he would say he's not wrong. This is called life. Everybody, you think the bad guy thinks he's the bad guy? No, he thinks he's the good guy and you're the bad guy.
But with your claim, I'm telling you, you can't land anywhere and point the finger and say, stop that man, he's wrong.
Sure I can.
No, you can't.
Sure I can.
You
saying I can't, but what you really saying, what you really mean is I shouldn't.
What I'm saying is, according to what you just told me you believe and teach and understand, you can't point the finger at anybody and say they're wrong, stop them.
Sure I can. You're not understanding what I'm saying. I said, okay, let me give you an analogy. Right? We're playing chess. There are rules to the game of chess. There's a goal to the game of chess, to win the game. Because there's a goal, there are certain things that could be considered good moves and certain things that could be considered bad moves. But if the goal changes, then those things that are good moves might not be good moves anymore because the goal has changed. So what is good or bad is dependent on the goal at hand. So if me and Adolf Hitler don't have the same goal, then we're not playing the same game of chess, which means a good move to me might not be a good move to him. So I can go to you, if me and you are playing chess and somebody else is playing checkers, and I could say, okay, this is a good move. You should make this move. And you say, yeah, we should make this move. And this dude say, nah, man, I'm going to make this move. And we say that's a bad move. But that's because he's playing checkers and we're playing chess. We have two different sets of rules, meaning two different things that can be considered good or bad. There is nobody sitting over the board saying this is always good and this is always bad. It depends on what the goal is. Now, if you don't care about winning the game, then you don't care about what's a good move and what's a bad move. You're just randomly moving pieces. And I can tell you all day that's a bad move. But if you don't care, then you're going to move your piece how you want to move it. And I could try to stop you, but in all sense of the word, like for me to stop you, I'm going to either have to kill you or remove you from society, which is exactly what we do to people who do bad things. We remove them from society.
Yeah,
it's called jail.
I agree with that.
God don't come down here and do a bitch ass thing. So if there's a God, why we gotta have jails and prisons?
Sure, I understand all that.
No, that's a real question. I'm asking you that. If there's a God, then why do we have jails and prisons?
Oh, you have to contain individuals that are harmful to society.
So how come God ain't doing that?
Well, in a sense, he has. He's got us down here on this earth, and we're confined to this planet. And as a result of that, he's allowing us to live our life, and whether it pleases him or not, by choice and will. And your choices and your will is going to be based upon what you believe and teach. And I'm saying I'm going to sit there and say, no, the Lord doesn't want us to do that. He doesn't mind this. He doesn't like that, et cetera, et cetera. I would say based upon God, but you would sit there and say, it's based upon what is right and wrong, and I don't know how you're getting right and wrong. I don't know how you're determining that.
I don't know how you're determining what God wants. How you know what God wants?
Well, I've read His Word.
How you know it's God's word?
Well, strictly because He gave it to me. He promised that.
Hold on, no. When did God give you the word?
Oh, He gave it to me. Well, shoot, it's been 40, 50 50 years ago.
God physically came to you and gave you a book.
I didn't say that.
How did he give you the word?
Well, he gave it to me by preservation, by allowing individuals to come together under his will and forming and bringing together the text and all that stuff. And as a result of that, I got it in book form.
So how did you determine that came from God?
Because of the instructions inside the book.
Like kill everybody and save the virgin girls for yourself, like those type of instructions.
Well, I believe that happened, sure.
So how did you determine that it was the God, the creator of the universe, that inspired or gave you the word of the Bible? How did you link those two?
Kweli, how in the world did leaving the laws of logic, which proves you're wrong as an atheist, how in the world did all this begin? I mean, what is it that is the conception?
What are you talking about? The universe?
All this, everything. I mean, how in the world would all this begin?
What makes you think that the universe needs to begin?
Well, I mean, you mean it's always been here, eternal regression?
I mean, it's here.
Okay, but how do you know it didn't start?
How do you know it did?
Well, because God says in the beginning.
How do you know God said that?
Well, I read it in his book.
How do you know God wrote it?
Strictly because, I mean, he says he did. It said, I'll preserve my word.
So you understand that's a circle. You understand that that's a circular argument, right? You believe that the Bible is the word of God because it says it's the word of God. So I can write a book right now that says this is the word of God, and you're going to believe that one too, right? Because it says it.
I wouldn't believe it if it contradicted what this book says. The book is my final authority. So
it don't matter. It don't matter what anybody show you. If it contradicts something at that Bible, you ain't gonna believe it because that Bible is all you gonna believe. I would sit there and say my standard is the book. But the thing about it is, see, your standard is what you would call atheism. And when I present laws of logic to you, you didn't have anything to say. You had to think about it. It hit you like a ton of bricks because that is the breakdown of atheism. First of all, nothing that you said hit me like a ton of bricks. I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish, but I'm not going to let you sit up there and believe this false narrative that you came in here believing.
How in the world did you function as an atheist?
You've been asking this question. You've been asking this question since we started this conversation, and I've answered you since we started this conversation.
You have not answered that.
I have. And
how do you deal with abstract entities in a worldview where there's nothing but matter?
First of all, before I answer your question, let me restate again that this has nothing to do with atheism. This does not prove any point. Okay. This is completely separate because the only thing that atheists address is the existence of God. All of these abstract entities that you talk about ain't got nothing to do with a God. Second of all, I told you I rationalized that because all of those things that you're talking about spring from something physical. If you remove the physical part that they spring from, you also remove those abstract. That's why I asked you, if you remove all the life from the planet, would there still be a such thing as belief or knowledge? Because without a person to believe something, how could there be a such thing as belief? Belief is what emergent property of a physical brain. It's not something that's out there, this thing called belief. So just because there are abstract thoughts and things that we can think of, like I can conceive of a pig with wings, even though there is no pig with wings, I can think of it in my mind. That doesn't mean that a pig with wings actually exists, and doesn't mean that your God actually exists just because you can imagine it.
Well, I'm just saying that what I've said to you, it proves as an atheist you're wrong.
And now, I'm telling you, it doesn't.
As believing in God or not, that's your business. I'm just saying that my statement to you is it proves it cannot be true. And it proves you wrong.
Okay, so since you said that like 3 times and I've rejected it like 3 times, and I see we're not gonna make any leeway with that. Let's just leave that alone. Now let me try to prove your position wrong. Since you proved my position wrong in your opinion, let me prove that God doesn't exist. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Now when I ask you this question, it denotes a short answer because I'm trying to make a point here. Okay.
All right.
Why do you think there is a God?
Why do I think there's a God? Well, I think there's a God because he loves me. And I think there's a God because he died for me. And I think there's a God because he shed his blood for me. And I think there's a God because he resurrected himself for my justification.
You understand that none of that stuff is true, right?
I think there's a God. Well, you're asking me and I'm answering. I think there's a God because he promises to forgive my sins and all my wrongdoings and make me into a new creature in Christ.
So,
and I believe all what God says about his son and what his son did for me and how his son loves me and how Kweli, God's son, loves you too. And the same being that died for me died for you. And what you got was a church religion garbage.
So
and you didn't get a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
So Jesus died for me?
He did.
What day of the week?
He died for you.
What day of the week did he die?
In all eternity, he looked down and saw you. And
what day of the week was it when God died for me?
I would have to say, I believe, based upon what I could come up with, I believe he died on Wednesday.
And what day did he rise?
I think he rose Saturday at 6 in the evening.
Why do you believe that?
Because I believe that as he was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. And I take that literal 24-hour periods.
So you also, are you aware of the fact that a whale's mouth doesn't open wide enough for a human to enter?
A whale shark could do it.
So hold on, time out. You believe that a man was inside of a whale's belly for 3 days. What was he breathing?
Well, I said I believe he died.
So he died in the whale's stomach?
I believe Jonah died in the whale. Okay. And I believe that he did come back though. But I believe that the animal spewed him out onto the land. But I believe it was a whale shark, and I believe that because in the Old Testament it says a whale, and the New Testament it says a great fish.
So you believe in God? You believe in God because the Bible, basically, is what you're telling me.
Well, I believe in God because of what he's done for me, and it's proof that he's done it for me. And the same thing, Kweli, is he's done it for you too.
I don't think God's done anything for you. I think things have happened that you've given credit to God for, but God hasn't done those things.
Well, I mean, you can't prove that.
You can't prove that God did it.
So I just sit there and say to myself, hey, based upon the evidence that I have, I say he does exist. And based upon laws of logic, he does exist. And based upon the fact that he does and has given me his word and that he loves me and died for me, I trust him by faith that he is what he says he is. Did
God create time?
Face to face.
Did God create time?
Did not create God, no.
Did God create time?
Did God create time?
Yes.
I believe that time existed. I don't know where the Bible speaks of that. I don't know how time existed.
See, this is your problem. You're getting everything from that book. I'm asking you to use your brain. You're a grown man.
Well,
I'm asking you to think. Did God create time?
You broke up. Say it again.
So I'm asking you to think. You don't have to refer to any book. Just use your brain and tell me, do you think that God created time?
I think time, yeah. I believe that in that sense, God did create time, yes.
Did God create space?
He creates space, yes.
All right. So how long did it take for God to create time?
God has always been. He never was part of his creation. He's separate and apart from his creation.
That's not what I asked you. How long?
That's your answer.
how long did it take for God to create time?
The Bible does. I don't know. I have no idea how. I don't even know when time began. It could have begun way before us.
Where was God when He created the universe?
Oh, you broke up again. Say again.
Where was God when He created the universe?
He was in His glory.
Is that a place?
I would say that it probably is the place. I think it could be what we call the third heaven. I think that's where He resides now.
So did God create that place?
I believe He did.
So where was He when He created that place?
I would have to say in His glory. Where that is, I don't know.
Did God create His glory?
I believe that God did. I believe that His glory is part of His nature, and I believe that it always existed, just as it is part of His nature that He loves and cares like He does for you, and that He loves. So, He gave Himself for you.
Does God have a creator?
No, God does not have a creator. God is Himself. God Himself, self-existing.
All right. So now listen to your logic. Listen to me state your logic. You believe that everything was created except for God, but you have not seen God or experienced God. But you have seen the universe, but you, for some reason, you can't conceive of the universe existing forever, but you can conceive of God existing forever, even though you've seen the universe and you haven't seen God.
Well, I can't answer all questions, Kweli. It's not for me to know all things yet. When I die, I'll know as I've been known.
Or you might just be dead.
You're breaking up again. I can't hear you. What?
I said, or you might just be dead.
Well, that's the argument I was bringing back the first time, and you can't answer it. See,
what can I answer?
That's where you break down, and you got to cross that line. And I want you to process this. The audience is going to hear this, and they're going to see this thing, and you're exposed. How do you, as an atheist, in an empirical world, deal with abstract entities where there's nothing but matter? How do you deal with that?
We treat them as a manifestation of the physical.
How is thinking something that is empirical?
Because thinking requires a brain. You can't show me an example of something that can think that doesn't have a brain, or something like a brain.
Well, the thinking itself is something that is immaterial. Would you agree with that?
No.
How have you ever tasted or seen thinking?
Again, sensing something with the five senses is not the only way that things can be demonstrated to be physical. I'm answering it right now. I'm answering it right now. Thinking something or sensing something with the five senses does not necessitate that it is empirical. Okay? Your senses are limited. Do you know that there are animals that can see heat? We can't see heat, but some animals can see heat. Some animals have echolocation. They can use sound to find things. We can't do that. An owl has disproportionate ears, so it can triangulate and hunt in pitch black darkness by just using sound. It can find exactly where its prey is. We can't do that because our senses are our senses. So that's why we make tools like microscopes and telescopes to expand our senses, to give us more ability to sense what is out there, because our senses can't detect everything that's out there. There's cellular waves traveling through your body right now from your cell phone, from my cell phone. We can't sense that stuff. It goes right through our body. That don't mean it's not real.
Well, I'm just saying that my question stands, and that's something that you cannot answer.
I've answered it about 3 times. You're just not accepting the answer.
You're not dealing with the nuts and bolts of the argument. and
See, the
it's
problem is
not going
the problem is
anywhere.
you want me to give you an answer that I'm not giving you, and any answer that I give you, you're just rejecting it. But I've answered your question time and time again. You want me
Well,
to tell
you've
you that
given me
there's
a
some
response.
abstract stuff that I don't know about, and I'm telling you that there is no abstract stuff. All this stuff that you're calling abstract comes from something physical. If you remove the physical, you
Yeah.
remove that abstract aspect. If somebody's thinking and we shoot him in the head, he's no longer thinking.
How do you know that?
Because every example we have of a thought came from a brain. We don't have any example of a thought coming from a non-brain.
How do you know that?
Because I've been alive long enough to see many examples of thoughts, and I have not seen any that came from a brain. Now, if you have any, please expand my knowledge.
But how do you know that?
Based on my data that I have available to me, there is no example of a thought existing without a brain.
Have you ever died and experienced that, where you could come back and say that's true?
No, have you?
No.
All right, so what are you talking about death for? What are you talking about something that we both can't tell you what happens after death? You can believe
You cannot tell me for sure that you're right, because you don't know.
Here's the thing. We both don't know, all right? So anything that you say about me goes doubly for you, all right? So if I don't know, you don't know. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. If we both don't know, all right, but I'm basing mine off of prior experience and data, and you're basing yours off of belief in some book that some ancient goat herders wrote 2,000 years ago. Who's probably more right? If I'm basing mine off empirical knowledge and data, of standing on the shoulders of giants who have studied this stuff, have tried to prove the existence of a soul and failed, and so I'm saying that there is no soul, and when people die, they probably just die. Like when I step on a roach,
Well, Kweli,
it's dead.
The people you're listening to are the scientists and educators that thought the world was flat.
Okay, you, my friend, are suffering from scientific illiteracy. All right?
Didn't they believe it was flat?
When you say they, who are you talking about? See, this is the problem with
The scientists. You didn't hear me.
I hear what you're saying.
Educators,
I hear what you're saying,
the
but you
scientists and educators believed long ago.
yes,
that
long
the
ago.
world
Now
was
you need
flat.
to listen to me because I heard what you said. Now you need to listen to me. All right?
Huh?
You said they believe that the world is flat, as if the same people that are teaching that the world is round were the same people that were teaching the world is flat, not taking into account that these centuries separating these people, generations. These are not the same literal people. All right, just because you got scientists now, when we talk about the world was flat, this is pre-scientific method. Now, that's why I say you're suffering from scientific illiteracy. So what you have to do.
They thought they
Let
were
me finish.
right at the
What you
time.
have to do is go take a basic science course and learn when the scientific method was introduced. So the scientific method is what we have now. So when we say science, modern science, we produced the cell phone that you're talking on, the microphone that
So
I'm
they
recording.
know
Hold
more-
on,
they know
hold
more
on, hold
today
on,
than they did
hold
back
on.
then.
I'm not finished. The scientific method that produced everything that we know, that has the satellites, the TV that you watch, all this stuff, the car that you drive, the scientific method produced all those stuff. That didn't exist when people thought the world was flat. Those people were using the best tools that they had. Their human observation, which I told you was limited. The five senses that were limited is what led them to conclude that the earth was flat. Because when you go out without any tools or any measurements, that's what you might conclude if you're just using your basic human senses. But then when we have the scientific method, and you have, like I said, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You have people who are significantly smarter than everybody else, like Albert Einstein, who took time, hours and hours and hours of each day trying to figure out these principles, and they actually come to some good conclusions and figure some stuff out. And then I don't have to go back and figure out E equals MC squared because Einstein already did it. So over time, science gets better, but pre-scientific method is not modern science. This is the science that you're talking about. Can you taste it? Can you smell it? That's what they were doing. But when we have scientific method, then you're talking about using microscopes, telescopes, math, advanced math, calculus, and chemistry. This science is totally different, and this is what produces all of this wonderful stuff that you love and use and take for granted every day. if you're denouncing scientists. So when you say those scientists are the same scientists that thought the Earth was flat, no, you're wrong. All right, these the scientists that are again giving me my information are the scientists that are using the scientific method. All right, which has been
based
proven
upon the
time and time
information.
again to be the best, most reliable pathway to truth. Is the scientific method.
But you admitted that the scientists and educators that thought the world was flat were wrong.
I just told you that they weren't using modern science. They weren't using the scientific method. Yeah, they were wrong, but they weren't.
Were they wrong at the time?
Were they using the scientific method? No.
I'm not. I'm just asking a question. Were the scientists and educators wrong at the time they thought the world was flat?
No, because you're calling them scientists and educators, and I'm telling you they weren't scientists. All right.
At the time they were. They were
No.
the best scientists at that time.
No, they weren't. This is why you're suffering from scientific illiteracy. Though I told you need to go take a basic science course and learn when science started. It started about 200 years ago. All right. All that time before that, that's not science. There was no scientists. There was no scientists that thought the world was flat.
I like you, Kweli.
I like you too.
I do. I do. I wish we were neighbors. We could talk all day about this stuff. I believe what's happened to you, and I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I believe what's happened to you is that you've been hurt very bad, and you've been hurt in a religion of that was necessarily wrong in a lot of ways, and you have a burden to carry, and there's no value in promoting God does not exist. It has no value. It's very strange. All the atheists that are out there are saying that, and yet professing something out of their mouth and say that, well, I don't believe God exists, and you can't impose your will upon mine because you're just like I am, wrong, and et cetera, and yet they turn around and say war is wrong, and they contradict themselves by saying, well, this is wrong and that's wrong, and I believe this and I believe that.
No, it's not it's not contradicting themselves. It's just you don't understand the reasoning behind it. It's not a contradiction. You don't understand.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing to you because you don't understand, sir. You don't understand. And let me tell you the value of atheism. No, you don't, because your statement just proved to me that you don't understand. Because you're looking at it in an objective sense, and most atheists don't believe in that objective good or bad that you believe in. So it's not a contradiction for an atheist to say that war is bad, because I explained to you that what's bad to me as an atheist is that which hinders my survival. So if there's war going on, that's not beneficial for my survival personally. It behooves me to live in a world that is war free. So I would like for there to be no war in the world so that I have a better chance of surviving. That's why war is bad. It doesn't have anything to do with somebody telling me what to believe. I don't need some authority telling me what's right or bad. I can use my own brain, and I can come to that conclusion with my own reasoning that it's bad to have a war. And I don't need somebody to tell me that it's bad. It's just bad because I want to survive, so it behooves me to live in a world that doesn't have wars. It's simple, but because you have this Christian worldview blocking your thought processes, it's confusing to you. But you have to remove that block.
Kweli, what do you do for a living?
I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of different things. So I sell stuff.
Like you just do odd jobs?
Pretty much. I mean, I use the skills that I have to earn income. I do a lot of different stuff. I do roadside assistance. I got a taxi business. I do YouTube. I got a website. I sell products, stuff like that.
What kind of products do you sell?
Books, chapstick, black-owned products.
You make a pretty good living at it?
Better than any other living I ever made, yeah, but I wouldn't call it a pretty good one.
Yeah? Do you, so you do different, so do you pay for your own insurance?
Yeah.
That's got to be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you have medical insurance?
No.
Okay, so if you go to the hospital, who pays?
I pay.
and you go to the doctor, you pay, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what you do for a living and all that. Why don't you, so are you a handyman? Do you like working on homes and painting and putting in doors and windows and
I mean,
stuff like that?
I do a little of that too here and there.
Yeah. You ever pour concrete on driveways and stuff?
Nah, I ain't never do any of that.
That's too hard to work, huh?
Nah, I just never got into it. I mean, I did like carpentry, but no concrete.
Yeah. You ever put in air conditioning units and furnaces and stuff like that?
No, you ever sold drugs?
Do I ever sell drugs?
Have you ever sold drugs?
No, I don't do that.
You ever
I was saved back.
you ever rob a bank?
No, I've never robbed the bank before.
You ever scam the government?
Scammed the government? No, not that I know of. I can't think that I have.
You ever stole somebody's credit card information?
No, never have. Never done anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think this, Kweli. I think if you ever got to know me, you would sit there and say, Phil, you are the most different Bible-believing Christian I've ever met in my life. You would. I believe you would say that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Every Christian that I meet is different because their belief is not based on something that is real and empirical. So they vary in beliefs. You can go to any church and ask any Christian sitting on the same pew the same questions I ask you and get completely different answers from every one of them because they're dealing with belief and they're not dealing with knowledge.
Well, they do believe in a belief, but half of them don't even know what they believe.
But you said something that I want to address. You said that there's no value in teaching atheism, and that's just wrong. Well, let me explain to you why there is value in teaching atheism. When you are a believer in God, just like you admitted to me, everything that you believe comes from that book. So if God says it's right to go kill somebody, you say it's right to go kill somebody. But as an atheist, you have no authority telling you what's right or wrong, what's good or bad. You use your own reasoning. So you have a freedom.
That's an authority, though, isn't it?
No, it's not. You have a freedom to determine what's good or bad. So if somebody come and tell you, hey, go over there and murder the Midianites and save the virgins for yourself.
But Kweli, you just admitted you in and of yourself are the final authority.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's your language. That's not what I said.
Well, where do you get right and wrong from?
I just told you a few times, right and wrong comes from the fact that I have a goal. All right. And based on my goal, that's how I can determine what's right or wrong. Now, if you don't have the same goal as me, what's right or wrong for you might be completely different. If you don't care about surviving, then what's good and bad for you is not good and bad for me. Is it bad to eat poison? Well, if you don't care about surviving, then no, it's not bad because you don't care about surviving. But if you care about surviving, then yes, it is bad to eat poison.
Yeah. Well, okay, Kweli.
And you don't need some authority.
You.
I appreciate talking to you too, man. And I wish that you would explore science a little bit more and maybe listen to what atheists have to say, because it seems like a lot of times you have a preconceived notion about atheists and what they think and what they believe. It might be helpful if you would just talk to a few more atheists and ask them what they believe and why they believe it, instead of just.
Well, I've studied Dawkins, I've studied Barker, Hitchens. I've studied all the heavyweights, all those people, and that's the one thing they cannot do. They have argument for all this stuff. They can argue this, they can argue that. But what I presented to you is a thing they cannot deal with, and that's the one thing is they can claim to deal with it. They say they deal with it, but it's a contradiction, and that's the sad thing.
But I mean,
well, anyway, Kweli,
you understand that you're wrong though, right, about that, right?
No, I'm not wrong. One day I'll
Well,
see my maker.
I'm gonna let you go, man. I'm gonna put this up on YouTube, and when you watch it back, hopefully you can hear what I said again. Because I mean, I tried to explain it to you the best I could that your position was incorrect, but I don't think
Well,
we made any headway. But like I said, just listen to this back when I upload it, probably later on tonight, and yeah, hopefully we can come to some type of common ground on it. But I did enjoy talking to you, man, and hopefully we can link up again.
hey, we will, Kweli. I got your number. You got mine. And don't put my number on YouTube.
I got you, man.
And do me a favor. You need to take your telephone number off YouTube.
That's my Google voice number, so it's not my personal phone number. So I can change that number at the drop of a
I was
hat.
going to say, I believe you have more guts than brains if you put your personal phone number on there.
Yeah, I ain't that slow. I'm yeah.
Man.
So that's my Google voice number, not my personal number. So like I can turn it on and off whenever I want, and I can change it whenever I want. So anybody starts spamming me, I can just change it. But I mean, I've been putting it out since I started, and I haven't had any problems. And so
Yeah. What do you think, Kweli, off record about all the riots and all the stuff going on in our city and everything? Give me your take on that.
I think a lot of stuff about it, man. I think that some very powerful people are. This is the beginning stages of something that some very powerful people are doing in order to decrease the world population. And this is just the beginning of. This is what I think, and I think it all goes, hand in hand. This the protests with the riots and COVID-19. I think it's all tied together.
Do you think it's designed to kill our financial institution?
No, I think it's designed to just depopulate. That's what it's about.
In a physical way?
Yeah.
And so you don't think that it has anything to do with that, along with breaking our financial institution?
No, I don't. I think our financial institution is largely broken already. It's just a house of cards. It just depends on when they decide they don't want to follow it no more. But it's yeah, like I said, I don't claim to know everything about this matter. It's all speculation. But right now, it seems like to me that it's about depopulation, and I think that we just in the beginning stages of it. And because it seems like to me like they just testing stuff like the protests. They want to see how we react to martial law and how we respond to seeing military in our cities, and how we respond to them telling us we can't leave our house. Like they want to know, can they actually enact martial law and do what they want to do without a large uprising. So they put out a test run. That's what I think this is all about.
Kweli, let me ask you something. Do you like America?
No, but no, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else right now.
Yeah. Do you say your ancestors are from Zimbabwe?
No, I don't know where my ancestors are from. I know they're from Africa, but I don't know what part of Africa.
Yeah, I'm surprised with all you do. You haven't done the genealogy and traced it back.
Yeah, but a lot of what I do is not based on Africa. You know what I'm saying? I admire the African culture and the civilization. That's just something that I like. I'm interested in. It has nothing to do with the fact that I happen to be black. It's just something that always interested me and fascinated me. And when I made up my mind to change my name, I chose an African name for those reasons. It really doesn't have anything to do with me being black. So while I am pro-black, I'm not one of these. We need to go back to Africa, and Africa is the key and all that. While I'm not against that stuff, I'm not one of the people that's promoting that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more focusing on the God thing, because I think that God belief itself is harmful, and the Christian religion is harmful. It's taking all the money out of our communities. It's teaching people to pray to some other power instead of abiding by the power that you have in yourself. So instead of you fixing your own life and your own problems, you're praying and asking for help when really you need to be helping yourself. And that's the message that I'm promoting.
If you could, would you ban and burn all the Bibles in America?
No. I think I would just not force them onto people. Like, when people go to jail, the only book you can get for free is the Bible. Or you go to a hotel, they have a Bible. It's just like forced down your throat. I would stop that stuff. I think the Bible is an important part of our history.
But isn't that freedom of speech in America?
Not really. Because if I go to jail, if I go to jail and I ask for a satanic Bible, they won't give it to me. But if I ask for a Christian Bible, they'll give it to me. That's supposed to be freedom of religion. If I'm a Satanist and I ask for a satanic Bible, they're supposed to give it to me. But that's infringing on religious rights. Say what?
Have you ever been in prison?
Yeah.
Oh, really? How old were you?
I was 19 when I went.
19. Wow. Do you mind if I ask why?
No, I don't mind. I went for marijuana possession.
They
with
busted
intent.
you on marijuana.
Yep, and it gave me
You
5
must have
years.
had an awful lot of it.
Nope, it's just a corrupt police system, and that's what they do to young black men.
So what were you doing? Just smoking a joint, and that was it?
No, I was selling weed, so I got charged for selling.
Because I worked with a few guys, and they were black, and they were selling drugs, and some of them got a hard time, like 8 years. So how long did you get?
I got 5 years, but I didn't do the whole 5 years. I only did one.
Only 1 year. Did you like prison?
Of course not.
What's the worst thing about it?
The worst part about it was being away from your family and friends and not having the freedom to just do what you want to do when you want to do it.
I had a buddy named Keith Brooks, and he was in Pendleton, and he went up to another prison, and he says that one of the worst things about it is they're always messing with your food.
Well, you got different prisons, so at the particular prison that I was at, that wasn't a problem. But yeah, like I said, the worst part about it was just being away from regular life. I mean, it's
Were
not.
you in a cell by yourself?
No, it's actually overcrowded. So you got 3 people to a 2-man cell. You got two people in the bed and 1 man on the floor.
So because of that, who decided who got in the bed and who didn't?
It was just a matter of choice. And usually what happened is somebody would just prefer to be on the floor because he might be an elder, and he said, well, my knees, I'd rather sleep on the floor. So usually you wouldn't have to, argue with somebody over who got the bed or not, because somebody would prefer to sleep on the floor and somebody would prefer the top bunk. And usually it just works itself out. But if not, it's not really that big of a deal because prisons, a lot of times they ship people around like your friend, take you from one prison to the next, so you're not in the cell with the same person all the time.
Did you ever get into cells with some really, really, really crazy people?
Yeah. Pretty much everybody. Pretty much.
Well, I can imagine.
80% of everybody in there is crazy, but some people in there are just like I would say me, saying just people who might have been doing the wrong thing, but I was 19, at an age where a lot of people make mistakes, and you get caught up and you get sent to prison. So a lot of people are just in prison, and you're like, wondering how the hell I get here. So, but then you got some people you be like, oh, I know why he here. That motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah, I just can imagine being in a cell with people that are just, how do you control the craziness? You can't reason with some of them.
It's not like how people think it is. Like on TV, they make prison seem like a just the worst place. And I'm sure some prisons probably like that. But again, like I said, every prison is different. And the one that I was at, it wasn't that rambunctious. So a lot of times when you're dealing with crazy people or violent people, you just have to know how to deal with them. Like me, I like to imagine that I have this ability to blend with two different worlds. So I can talk to the crazy people, the thugs, the gangsters, and then I can go and talk to the nerds and smart people too. I know how to speak both languages. So if somebody comes to me with a problem or issue or something, I can usually use the gab to maneuver yourself out of it. But I didn't have any particular situations. The one incident I can think of, I had a guy, he was just looking at me like he had a problem. And I saw him in my peripheral, he was looking at me, and I know that look. There's that look that like, oh, I want to try him. He was giving me that look. And so I just said, man, why you look so upset? And I was smiling at him like, man, smile, man. Like, still smile on. Don't try to hold it in, smile. And then he started smiling. And, we were cool after that. But that could have been very different if I was like, what the hell are you looking at? Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, if you challenged him, it could have been a situation that could have been worse.
Right. So it just depends on how you conduct yourself and stuff you get involved in. So it's like I'm not in there gambling and rolling dice and stuff. So I'm not involved in none of the disputes that they get involved in because I don't participate in that stuff. I read my books and mind my business. Talk to the people that I get along with. Play cards here and there. But other than that, you only get into an incident if you looking for it. Pretty much people not gonna mess with you unless you the type of person. It's like they got gangs in prison. I'm not in the gang. So when they come up to me and they ask me, like, what gang you in? I say, I don't bang. And then they say, okay, and leave me alone.
They leave you alone.
Yeah, as simple as that.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, and okay, and you don't seem to be a person that carries a lot of anger.
Nah, but I do have that side of me. If I get to that point, I can get angry. But I'm not. I wouldn't call myself an angry person. Nah.
Yeah. Do you feel like they're sort of angry toward God, the concept of God?
No, I don't believe in God. So I'm not angry at God. I'm not angry at Santa Claus. I'm not angry at the Tooth Fairy. But what I am angry at is the fact that people promote the God as if it's a fact when they don't know it's a belief. But they promote it as if it's a fact, and that angers me. It angers me that the church takes money from poor people, and the preacher rides around in a Rolls Royce while the congregation is driving Hondas. That angers me. It angers me that people such as yourself can read passages like kill everybody and save the virgins for yourself, and they don't see a problem with that. That angers me. But I'm not angry at an imaginary being. No.
Okay. Yeah. Just wondering. All right, Kweli. Well, take care, and hopefully we'll talk again.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. And yeah, thank you for the insight. I understand that everything that you're doing it from a position of trying to help, and I really appreciate that, man.
All right. Well, we'll talk again.
All right.
All right. See you later.